time for Michigan's newest sports talk show, Mitten Madness.
And here he goes. Defense win championship.
Michigan sports talk from here in Battle Creek. The latest stories, the biggest games, all across the Mitten State.
That's not something to play with.
Streaming live and on demand on the 95.3 WBCK app. Your host, Da'Jzon Hughes.
Good morning on this Saturday morning. This is Mitten Madness on 95.3 The Ticket. I'm your host, Da'Jzon Hughes. I'm excited as we have another hour's worth of what's happening around the state of Michigan in the sports realm to dive into on this beautiful Saturday morning. Hopefully you have had a fantastic week as I have had one. We are going to be diving into the Tigers. The NBA schedule gets released and a little touch-up on the Michigan basketball schedule after their snafu with Duke, and then a little bit about the NFL preseason, which is literally here. And before we know it, the regular season for the NFL season will be upon us. Before getting into our picks to end out the show, I am feeling fantastic coming into this weekend. Sadly, we did say goodbye to our fearless leader, Robin, here this weekend. Yesterday was her last day, so that really did leave, somewhat of a bittersweet tone at the end of the week because we did have party. We had a great time and we vibed, but at the same time, it always hurts to see, someone that we cherish and love so much leave us. And that's exactly what we dealt with last week. So, or this past week. So that's kind of still fresh on our minds. But going into this weekend, I'm super excited because I will be out in Philadelphia this weekend, taking in some professional lacrosse, but also my lacrosse podcast that I do outside of the job here on those beautiful days is actually being asked to do a podcast appearance out there. So 2 live podcasts coming up for me this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Well, later today and Sunday as you're listening to this. You guys know I record this on Fridays. So I was able to get out there and I'm really excited to enjoy the weather and the games and get a chance to sit down with a few players and coaches as the fans get a chance to interact with us right there live in the flesh in front of them. So I'm super excited for that. That's coming up this weekend as well. So with that being said, you already know where we are starting. We're starting where we always do with our Detroit Tigers, and we are starting in the standings. Have a new development now. The last time we talked, the Tigers were second from the bottom in the AL Central, sitting behind the White Sox, Twins, and Guardians in that order. Well, now I'm just going to read you records 1 through 5, and then I'll put the names next to them. 62 and 58, 60 and 61, 60 and 62, 59 and 63, 49 and 73. So not a lot of change at the top or bottom. Actually, no change at the top or bottom. Chicago White Sox still lead the American League Central at 62 and 58. At the bottom of the AL Central are the Kansas City Royals at 49 and 73. Now, 60 and 62. Third in the AL Central are the Minnesota Twins, 59 and 63, 4 games back from the Chicago White Sox. Sitting in 4th place in the AL Central are the Cleveland Guardians. So what does that mean? Well, that means our Detroit Tigers are only 2.5 games back of the Chicago White Sox for the AL Central pennant, with a 60 and 61 record and an impending series. As you guys know, they played last night, so you know how that game went down. And then they'll take them on again later today and tomorrow. A sweep puts the Tigers comfortably in first. A 2-1 split also has the Tigers in a very solid position. So it really, this is a huge series this weekend for not only the Chicago White Sox, but the Detroit Tigers in likes. This could put them in the position that they've been wanting to be in for the last couple of weeks. And they continue to move up the American League as they are now far from the bottom. They're closer to the top than they are the bottom Above them in the American League are the Houston Astros, who are only a game and a half ahead of them at 62-60. Then obviously those White Sox, 62-58. Then the Boston Red Sox are 4.5 games above them, 64-56, only 10 games behind the leaders. And then the New York Yankees, who are 8 games above them at 68-53, are 6.5 games back from the leaders, who are the Tampa Bay Rays, who are still leading the entire American League at 74-46. When we look at the entire MLB overall, the Tigers once again have moved up quite a considerable amount and now find themselves in the middle of the pack, as they are 14.5 games back from the leaders, because the Tampa Bay Rays lead the entire MLB. A half game behind them are the Brewers at 74-47. Then the Braves and the Dodgers are both a game and a half back at 73-48. Rounding out the top 5 are the Chicago Cubs, 3.5 games back at 71-50. So the Tigers making considerable ground. When you go over and look at the wild card standings, Tigers have actually jumped into the wild card. If the playoff were to start right now, the Detroit Tigers would be in the wild card. That is absolutely bananas at the way that they've crawled themselves back into not only playoff contention, but essentially a playoff spot, as they are 60-61. They are tied with the Texas Rangers, but I believe they are above them due to tiebreakers. So the Tigers currently holding on and clinging on to that last wild card spot. Above them are the Red Sox, 4.5 games, and then the Yankees, another 8 games. So like I said, and have continued to say the last couple of weeks, the best chance for the Tigers is for them to go out and win the AL Central and lock themselves in to that playoff seed. And also it allows them to be a host for the playoffs since they won their division. So that's going to be huge for them if they're able to go out and do that. They're only 2.5 games back, and with a chance to really give it to the White Sox, later on in the series. As you guys know, based off of what happened last night, maybe they're already up a game. I'm not sure. And then moving on into tonight and tomorrow, or today and tomorrow, because today's game is at 1:10, we might be able to see the Tigers come out with a huge flip. I mean, they could be at the top of the division if they're 63-61. That would put them above the White Sox, I believe, based on tiebreakers. So this could be a huge flip in the series in the AL Central. But now that we've talked a ton about the Tigers without getting to the leaders, leading the team in batting average, Kevin McGonigal, a .286, his on-base percentage, a .390, and his slugging percentage, a .426. Still, Dylan Dingler doing his thing on the home runs and the RBIs. He's got 26 home runners on the year. He's batted in 81 different runs. He's got a 2.64 or a .264 ERA. When we look at the pitching side of things, Kiter Montero still leads the ERA department at 3.22. He also still leads the wins department at 9. He's got 86 strikeouts on the year. And, of course, they still have Tarek Skubal up here leading the strikeouts department because for some reason they haven't updated this yet. Or maybe there just aren't enough strikeouts elsewhere on the Tigers roster for someone to overtake Tarek Skubal. But either way, that is what sits there at 116. So we'd like to see that change sometime soon. They have 549 runs, which is now tied for 12th. Their batting average of .243 is 17th. Their on-base percentage of .320 is 10th. And their slugging percentage of .407 is 10th. These are much better numbers than what we had saw earlier in the season from the Detroit Tigers. It is a big part of the reason why this team has started to string wins together, and a big part of the reason why they're not only in the thick of the wild card playoffs race, but also in the thick of the American League Central race. And they will continue to be there because the pitching is still doing a fantastic job. Their earned run average of 3.50 is second in the league. Their quality starts of 47 is tied for 7th in the league. Their whip of 1.21 is 5th, and their opponent batting average of .230 is 7th. They've done a fantastic job of willing this team and continuing to stay consistent all season long and give the bats a chance to wake up and get themselves in a position to win the AL Central and be in the playoffs and fight for a World Series. Like, I don't know, maybe Tarek Skubal said a while ago when he said he wanted to stay on the Tigers, which is why I still have somewhat of a belief that Tarek Skubal will be back and was simply just a loan trade, right? So they trade Tarek Skubal out. They get those prospects back. He goes there, and maybe they win a World Series. He feels better about that. Then he comes back to Detroit and signs a long-term contract and stays here for years to come. And maybe the Tigers are able to build around him and win a World Series as well. It's not crazy. It's not 100% common sense, but it's not crazy either. So it 100% could happen at some point in time. But so far, the Tigers are looking like they're going to make a push here in the second half of the season, even though there's still quite a bit of time as they have to get through the rest of August and all the way through September if they're going to do that. But they're surely trending in the right direction. We know that Job was on the mound last night against Undecided for the Friday night game. And then we have Melton and Kay at the 1:10 p.m. game later today. And then Anderson versus Burke for the 1:40 p.m. game tomorrow. If the Tigers can take down the White Sox, I'm telling you, they will be cruising. So from the last time we talked, they were able to win the last two games of the Giants series, which put they lost the first one 5-2, won 8-0 in game 2, 3-1 in 10 innings on game 3. So they were able to win that series, and they went right into the series against the Guardians. They won that so now they're on the 3-game win streak after winning 6-4. Then they turn around, they lose 6-4 to the Guardians in game 2. And then in game 3 on Thursday, Montero picks up another win as the Tigers come out with a 3-0 victory to not only surpass the Guardians in the standings, move up higher within past the Twins as well, and move up higher within the AL Central, but also that last coveted wild card spot in the American League. And then early next week, they're going to be taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates on the road. Not going to get a ton into this one because I will be talking about this later on during the picks. Valdez will take on Mazelinski, which will be 7 p.m. on ESPN. Montero versus Ashcraft, 6:40 p.m. on Tuesday. And then 12:35 p.m., Job versus Chandler on Wednesday. And then the next weekend series will be another interdivisional series, which will be uberly important with the Tampa Bay Rays. To follow that are the Kansas City Royals, 8:10 p.m. on Friday, Melton versus Cameron, 7:15 p.m. on Saturday, Anderson versus Wacha, 2:10 p.m. Valdez versus Lynch the fourth on Sunday. Those are all on the road as well down in Kansas City. So those are going to be huge matchups as they played almost everybody in their division within this week before having to do it basically again coming up at the beginning of September, where they play Minnesota, Cleveland, Minnesota before having to play the Chicago White Sox again later that week. So I'm just insanely excited to see what's going to happen with this. But that's all we got for the Tigers. When we come back from the break, we'll be talking NBA and Michigan basketball here on Mitten Madness on 95.3 The Tick.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives with your gifts. Your heart could keep beating. Your kidneys could keep filtering. And your intestines could keep on digesting for others. And that's not all. You can improve the lives of 50 more people as an eye and tissue donor, restoring sight and health. And you're not just helping out the person receiving the transplant. You're touching whole families with your life-saving gift. Register in minutes. Just go to organdonor.gov. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Sign up today. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
1 in 4 people have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also an actor and advocate for disability inclusion across all aspects of life. The disability community is passionate, strong, powerful. We have so much to offer and deserve to be included in society. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Eat Your Seals is delivering services, advocacy, and local supports that elevates the communities for everyone. That's my Eat Your Seals. Make it yours. EatYourSeals.com.
Welcome back into Mitten Madness here on 95.3 The Ticket. I'm your host, Da'Jzon Hughes, and we are back, and we're going to talk about a little bit of basketball. We're going to stop in Ann Arbor first. Just a quick little update there. They did unfortunately have to drop their game with Duke that they had scheduled again for this season. It came down to TV rights and streaming deals and all of that craziness that they couldn't figure out. They tried to move the game so that they could get it to be viewed in another way, and they still couldn't get it figured out. So Duke replaced Michigan with Texas Tech on their schedule so that they can still have a high-profile game. And Michigan decided to go get a high-profile opponent of their own to replace Duke on their schedule as they went and solidified a matchup with Louisville to take spot of Duke on their schedule. So that's the newest update with the Michigan schedule there. It's really the only update coming there. But the NBA has officially announced their schedule, some of the big dates that we have coming up. The first will be the opener, which is October 20th, and it's a triple header. Things are going to get started with the Boston Celtics taking on none other than our very own Detroit Pistons at 3 p.m. on NBC and Peacock before LeBron James, Jaylen Brown, and company, as they suit up for their new team, the Philadelphia 76ers, will head off to Madison Square Garden to take on the defending NBA champion New York Knicks, 7 p.m. NBC and Peacock. And then the Oklahoma City Thunder, who just lost to the Spurs. So this is a rematch of the Western Conference Finals going down to take on the Spurs, 9:30 p.m. on NBC and Peacock. That's just the opening day, but there's plenty more to be excited for as the Emirates NBA Cup has been announced. It's the 4th edition of the Cup. It begins on October 30th with group play. It will end November 27th. The quarterfinals will take place December 4th and 5th. The semifinals will be played on December 8th and 9th. The championship will be December 11th at the Hinkle Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. Christmas, 5 games slated for December 25th. Things kick off at noon with the NBA championship rematch as the Spurs will take on the Knicks. Then you have the Miami Heat, who have Giannis and company, taking on the Boston Celtics at 2:30 p.m. Then LeBron will take on his former team as the 76ers will battle the Los Angeles Lakers at 5 p.m. And then the Thunder will take on the Timberwolves as LaMelo will get his first action in Minnesota against SGA and the Thunder, the first time they will play each other. That is not his first game at 8 p.m. And then the Nuggets and the Warriors will close things out at 10:30 p.m. LeBron's 24th season. Obviously, there's some notable games. His first matchup against the Cavaliers will be November 6th at 7:30 p.m. on Prime. The Heat, his first matchup against them will be January 30th at 12:30 p.m. on ABC. The Warriors, March 24th against the 76ers, 10:30 p.m. on ESPN. And then obviously some other notable reunions. Kawhi Leonard will return to Los Angeles November 2nd at 10 p.m. Paul George will return to Philadelphia as Jaylen Brown will take on his old team for the first time on November 10th at 8 p.m. as the Celtics will take on the 76ers on NBC. Tyler Hero returns to Miami. He will take on Bam Adebayo and company for the first time. Obviously, Giannis will see his former team in the Bucks for the first time as they visit the Heat November 18th, 7 p.m. on ESPN. Jaylen Brown goes back to Boston for the first time on January 21st, 7 p.m. on Prime. Giannis will return to Milwaukee for the first time on January 28th. Then the Trailblazers and the Grizzlies as Ja Morant returns to Memphis for the first time February 6th LaMelo returns to Charlotte for the first time on February 15th at 12 p.m. Mitchell Robinson returns to New York for the first time March 14th. Jaren Jackson Jr. returns to Memphis for the first time on October 21st, as that is somewhat of a delayed reunion. It's a little more than 2 weeks after Memphis traded Jackson to Utah. The Grizzlies hosted the Jazz in an outing. The former WNBA Defensive Player of the Year missed due to a knee injury, so this time he will get a chance to meet up with him. Trae Young returns to Atlanta on November 6th. Anthony Davis returns to Dallas on March 11th, along with James Harden returning to the Los Angeles Clippers on that same matchup. Running it back from the postseason, as some big matchups from previous postseason playoff matchups, whether it be the most recent season or a couple beyond. The Pistons and Magic will meet for the first time on November 24th at 7 p.m. as these were two teams that met in one of the closest series of the entire Eastern Conference playoffs. The 8-seed Magic almost pulling off a gigantic upset of the 1-seed Pistons before Detroit rallied from down 3-1. For a moment during the first round series, it was unclear which team deserved which seed. Orlando had all summer to dream about what ifs, especially considering Franz Wagner missed the final 3 games of the series. Detroit will be out to prove that last year's 60 wins and number 1 seed was no fluke. What better way to do so than against a team that nearly sent them home early? Thunders and Pacers will meet up for the first time, healthy, that is, for both sides since the 2025 NBA Finals on February 5th. Rookie of the Year watch. Obviously, there's some notable games to look for there. The Kings versus the Nets, as Michael Brown and Darius Acuff will go against each other and battle on New Year's Eve, 6 p.m. AJ DeBonta versus Darren Peterson, as the Wizards and Jazz will take each other on February 27th. Cameron Boozer and Caleb Wilson will go to battle against each other on March 13th. The Grizzlies versus the Bulls. We have schedule format groups and updates coming for the Emirates play. We'll read through the schedule after we get through the groups here in East Group A. It's the Pistons, Raptors, Magic, Bucks, and Nets. East Group B, the Knicks, Cavaliers, 76ers, Heat, and Pacers. And Group C, the Celtics, Hawks, Hornets, Bulls, and Wizards. Over on the West, in Group A, the Nuggets, Rockets, Suns, Mavericks, and Jazz. In Group B, the Thunder, Timberwolves, Clippers, Pelicans, and Grizzlies. And in Group C, the Spurs, Lakers, Blazers, Warriors, and Kings. One group does stand out more than the other. They're saying East Group B is a monster. All 5 teams are defending NBA Cup and final champions. New York, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Miami, and Indiana are among the favorites to win the conference in 2026-27. The group stage will also feature reunion games for LeBron James when the 76ers face the Cavs and Heat. And after guard Tyrese Halliburton missed the entire 25-26 season while rehabbing a torn Achilles, the Pacers will be back among the East elite and hungry to reach the title game in Indianapolis. What do players get for winning this year? In 2023, the first year the tournament was held, players on the winning team received $500,000 each, and the runners-up got $200,000. The losing players of the semifinals each got $100,000, and those ousted in the quarterfinals got $50,000. Now, in each subsequent year, the prizes will be slightly higher as a result of negotiated raises year over year to keep pace with increases in the salary cap and basketball-related income as part of the most recent collective bargaining agreement between the NBA and the National Basketball Players Association. There will be an MVP award as well as an all-tournament team. Not beyond the games counted in the regular season standings. The only playoff impact comes from the wins and losses occurred throughout the tournament. Though there was a debate among league insiders about guaranteeing a playoff berth for winning the tournament, ultimately that idea was not enacted. So we do know that will not be the case. Now looking at the schedule, looking at group play, October 30th. Is when a large bunch of games the following will be going on. The Hornets at the Wizards, the Bulls at the Celtics, Pistons at Nets, 7:30 p.m., Knicks at 76ers, which will be on Prime at 7:30 p.m., Magic at Raptors, Pacers at Heat, Rockets at Mavericks, Clippers at Timberwolves, Lakers at Warriors on Prime at 10 p.m., and Nuggets at Suns. Then on November 6th, the Wizards at Hawks, Celtics at Hornets, 76ers at Cavs on Prime, Jazz at Mavericks, Thunder at Grizzlies, Raptors at Bucks, Timberwolves at Pelicans, Trailblazers at Lakers, and Spurs at Kings. Trailblazers-Lakers games will be on Prime. On the 13th of November, Knicks at Pacers on Prime, Bucks at Magic, Cavs at Heat, Hawks at Bulls, Grizzlies at Pelicans, Jazz at Rockets, Warriors at Spurs on Prime, Trailblazers at Kings, Thunder at Clippers. On the 20th of November, the Hornets at the Hawks, the Magic at the Nets, Pacers at the Cavaliers, Raptors at the Pistons on Prime, 7:30 p.m., Wizards at Bulls, Pelicans at Thunder, Suns at Jazz, Rockets at Nuggets on Prime at 10 p.m., and Kings at Lakers. On November 24th, Pistons at Magic at 7 p.m., Celtics at Wizards on NBC at 8 p.m., and then Mavericks at Nuggets, 10 p.m. on NBC. November 25th, Heat at 76ers, 5 p.m. on ESPN. Bulls at Hornets, 7 p.m. Cavaliers at Knicks, 7:30 p.m. Timberwolves at Thunder. Clippers at Grizzlies. Nets at Bucks. Suns at Rockets. Kings at Warriors. And Spurs at Trailblazers, 10 p.m. on ESPN. November 27th, Heat at Knicks on Prime at 7 p.m. Bucks at Pistons, 7:30 p.m. 76ers at Pacers, Nets at Raptors, Hawks at Celtics, Grizzlies at Timberwolves, Mavericks at Suns, Lakers at Spurs, Nuggets at Jazz, Pelicans at Clippers, and Warriors at Trailblazers. Lakers and Spurs on Prime at 9:30 p.m. And then, as mentioned before, quarterfinals are December 4th and 5th, semifinals December 8th and 9th, and then the championship will be December 11th. I'm really excited for the NBA Cup once again this year. We saw in 2023, the Lakers defeated the Pacers 123-109 with the tournament MVP being LeBron James. The Bucks then beat the Thunder 97-81 and 24 as Giannis was the MVP. And then this past season, the Knicks beat the Spurs 124-113 with Jalen Brunson being the MVP. So we got the schedule for the NBA. We got the schedule for the NBA Cup. The Pistons get to open up the entire NBA season, which is exciting. I just hate that it's at 3 p.m. So you don't get fired for watching. I'm going to try not to get fired for watching. And hopefully there's actually going to be people there at the game in person in stadium so that it isn't a boring game. Well, actually, yeah. I think the Pistons are actually on the road, so not as big of a deal. But either way, that's all we got for basketball. We'll be back from the break to talk about NFL preseason here on 95.3 The Ends.
Mike Rowe on the Skills Gap and how a student organization known as Skills USA is trying to fill it.
So the thing about Skills USA that's so cool, and the reason that my foundation has supported it for years, is that it's deliberately and intentionally focused on celebrating a skill. 3 million jobs right now exist in the trades and transportation and commerce. The skills gap is real. Training kids and getting them excited to do the jobs that exist ought to be job one. Skills USA does that in a big way. It's about excellence and competition and being good at what you do, and eventually through all of that, learning who you are. Skills USA is working.
Learn more at microworks.com and skillsusa.org.
As a young teenage boy, I didn't even know what autism was. How do you even spell that? A few years later, I heard that a friend's cousin's son had been diagnosed with autism.
I still wasn't sure what that really meant.
When I went to college, my roommate's brother had autism. When I moved to the city for work, my best friend called me and told me his son had been diagnosed with autism. We were both in shock. I still remember the day I walked into the house and saw that look on my wife's face. I knew something was wrong. I'll never forget how I felt when she said, "Our son has autism."
Autism is getting closer to home. Today, 1 in 110 children is diagnosed with autism. That's a 600% increase in the last 20 years. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Welcome back into Mitten Madness here on 95.3 The Ticket. I'm your host, Da'Jzon Hughes, and now we're going to talk about the NFL preseason for just a brief moment. There isn't a ton to talk about here. It is just the preseason. As we know, it does not mean anything toward their records. It really doesn't mean anything toward how the team is going to play. It's simply just a little fresh up for them to get moving, get at game speed, and to make sure that everybody is prepped and ready to go. Most of the starters don't play in a handful of these games, and if they do, it's not for long. So there's also that piece in this as well. So these games are not as important as more than just preparing the team to get ready for go. They did bump it down to just 3 preseason games going down during the preseason every year, unless you play in the Hall of Fame game, then you get 4. Whereas the Hall of Fame game this year went down on August 6th. It was the Panthers versus the Cardinals. The Panthers did come out top 33-30 in preseason week 1, which, going through the preseason real quick, we're just going to dive through who the NFC North is going to play for the preseason. And if you see any other marquee matchups, we'll throw those out as well, even though, like I said, none of the preseason really matters. The things got started this week. The Packers and the Steelers, the Lions and the Bengals. I think that's it. I don't see the Vikings or the Bears. Oh, sorry. The Bears are right here. They take on the Browns in week 1, and then right after them are the Vikings taking on the Giants. So both of those teams going to have their preseason action going on as well in that week 1. In week 2, the Packers will take on the Broncos. Divisional rivals Jets and Steelers those are not divisional rivals. Please excuse me. That is not a marquee matchup at all. The Lions and Commanders will battle against one another. Vikings and Ravens will play as well. Bears and Bengals, Eagles and Patriots, pretty big time matchup as well. That's all in week 2. Then coming up in week 3, the Steelers and Bills, which is a pretty exciting matchup, even though it's preseason. Cardinals and Packers will be in battle. Chiefs and Seahawks is a notable matchup. Eagles and Bengals might not be bad. Vikings and Broncos, Lions and Colts, and then the Bears and Titans wrap up preseason play for the entire NFL before they all will play in week 1, where their week 1 matchups. Packers and Vikings will battle each other in interdivision matchup, 4:25 p.m. on CBS. That's Sunday, September 13th. Lions and Saints, 1 p.m. on Fox on Sunday, September 13th. And the Bears, also 1 p.m. on Fox, will take on the Panthers on the 13th. So all 4 teams in action on Sunday the 13th for week 1. I'm not even going to try and guess preseason records because they literally don't matter. But looking at some quarterback rankings for a couple different traits like arm, accuracy, running ability, and more, they have the top 10, but I'll just tell you where the NFC North quarterbacks land on each list. It's pretty interesting. As for arm strength, Caleb Williams comes in at 3 and is the only NFC North quarterback on this list. Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford, and Patrick Mahomes round out the top 5. Mayfield, May, Burrow, Jackson, and Prescott are 6 through 10. Then for ball placement, Jared Goff comes in at 5 for the Lions. Jordan Love comes in at 6 for the Packers. Stafford, May, Darnold, and Burrow are 1 through 4. Then Allen, Jackson, Purdy, and Prescott are 7 through 10. Mechanics, Jared Goff comes in at 4 for the Lions. Caleb Williams comes in at 7 for the Bears. Stafford, Burrow, Jones are 1 and 3. Prescott at 5. Stroud at 6. And then Daniels, Allen, Jackson are 8, 9, and 10. Decision-making with the football. Jordan Love comes in at 3 for the Packers and is the only NFC North quarterback on this list. Allen and Stafford are 1 and 2. May, Daniels, Prescott, Jackson, Burrow, Mahomes, and Hurts are 4 through 10. Looking at the pocket presence now, The only NFC North quarterback on this list is Caleb Williams at 7. May, Burrow, Darnold, Herbert, Prescott, and Jackson are 1 through 6. Purdy, Jones, and Lawrence are 8 through 10. Second reaction, ability. The only NFC North quarterback on this list is Caleb Williams. This is as far as working outside of the pocket, who can extend plays and make plays better. Allen comes in at 1. Mahomes, May, Darnold, Nix, Purdy, Jackson, Daniels, and Mayfield are 3 through 10. Rushing ability. You guessed it. Only one more quarterback is on this list from the NFC North. It's Caleb Williams coming in at 4 for the Bears. Jackson, Allen, May are 1, 2, and 3. Then Herbert, Hurts, Mahomes, Mayfield, Nix, and Daniels are 5 through 10. So from this list, which was put together by Adam Schefter, so it isn't just me throwing out this list. It isn't some random person that doesn't watch a lot of football. Excuse me, not Schefter. It was Dan Orlovsky. So it is a former quarterback, a guy who has played at the highest level. He doesn't quite have the best record and reputation at the highest level, as we do know he's most famous, or infamous even, if you will, for stepping out of the back of the end zone as during his time with none other than the Detroit Lions during their most historic season. Yes, their 0-16 season, the one that still sits as an NFL record for worst season in history of the entire league. But he does know what he's talking about when it comes to pointing out good quarterback talent. From his eyes, Caleb Love is the best quarterback in the NFC North. Does that mean that the Bears are going to win the NFC North? No. Does that mean that he truly is the best quarterback in the NFC North? No, but it does mean that he has very, very good qualities of a good quarterback. He has all the right qualities to be a great quarterback and has already done some amazing things while being the quarterback of the Chicago Bears. So I'm actually really excited to see how this season will play out. I wish there was some kind of like preseason preview about how they think the NFC North is going to turn out. I wish they were giving like full season odds here. They already have like week odds up for the season for certain games. They have over under spreads, totals, money lines. This is really interesting to see that they don't have any type of, we think this team will be at the top of the NFC North or whatever it may be. But looking at some of the Monday night games, Philadelphia will take on Chicago in week 3. Chicago will take on Seattle in week 8. And Detroit will take on the Giants in week 16. Green Bay, the Packers, will take on the Houston Texans in week 17. Looking at the Sunday night games, Detroit will take on Carolina in week 4. Dallas will take on Green Bay in week 6. Chicago will take on Tampa Bay in week 9. Minnesota will take on San Francisco in week 11. Green Bay will take on Buffalo in week 14. Detroit will take on Minnesota in week 15 for the Sunday night games. And lastly, Thursday night, if there's anything popping, Green Bay will take on Atlanta. Detroit will take on Buffalo in week 2. Green Bay will take on Atlanta in week 3. Chicago will take on New England in week 7. Green Bay will take on Carolina in week 8. Minnesota will take on New England in week 14. And that is all for the marquee matchups for this division. And that's all we got for the NFL. We'll touch in with them when we get a chance to. But we're going to come back. We'll have our picks here on Mitten Madness on 95.3.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking. Now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Welcome back into Mitten Madness here on 95.3 The Ticket. I'm your host, Da'Jzon Hughes, and we are getting into my favorite part of the show, my picks. And every single week you can play along with the picks in the 95.3 The Ticket app. All you have to do is go to the app, click that chat feature button, listen for the 6 or more matchups, contests, games, or whatever else we decide to pick through. Listen to me do my deliberation, my thoughts, my research, and tell you why everything that I believe will happen is going to be right and why I know ball oh so well in the picks that I decide. Then you get to do deliberation, research, and thoughts of your own before submitting your picks in that chat feature. Keep track of your picks as well, as we'll do so here. If you happen to beat me in a season-long worth of picks, we'll have something special for you. But you got to submit your picks using the chat feature on the 95.3 The Ticket app. Now, last week was a very good week for your boy. I ended up coming out 5-1 last week as the Lynx took down the Aces. Liberty beat the Aces, and then the Wings beat the Lynx, so I got a loss there. The Fever did beat the Liberty. The Aces beat the Mystics, and then the Tigers took down the Guardians in their 3-game series, giving me a 5-1 record last week, updating my overall record for the season to 86-70-1, which loads us up for a fresh week of picks. And this time we have 8 different games and contests going on. We've got some WNBA popping off this week, some UFC getting into the MMA, mixed martial arts game again. And, of course, after we get out of the octagon, we're going back to the diamond. A lot of different shapes going on in sports today as the Tigers will be in action once again. We are starting on the hardwood, the rectangle, if you will, in the WNBA. The Minnesota Lynx later on today, 8 p.m. on CBS and Paramount Plus, will take on the Las Vegas Aces. The Lynx are 28-7, 14-2 on the road. The Aces are 23-11, 10-5 at home. They're giving the Lynx a 46.4% chance. The Aces a 53.6% chance to win this game. They are tied 1 apiece in this matchup. They both won their home matchups. The Aces won 100-97. The Lynx won 98-87. The first of these matchups was June 13th. Most recent was August 8th. They'll match up once again. They are currently 4.5 games above the Aces. The Lynx are 4-1 in their last 5. They lost one to the Sparks, 89-82. Meanwhile, the Aces got blown out by the Liberty right after they lost to the Lynx, but they do have 3 wins as they beat the Mystics, Fever, and Dream in their last 5 as well. It's hard to ignore all of the things that they have pointing toward the Aces being able to come out victorious in this game, as it will be at Michelob Ultra Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. I cannot do it. The Lynx are 14-2 on the road. They've lost 5 games at home, 2 on the road. They've won 14 in each place, and they've simply just been rolling. They're the best team in the WNBA, and I don't have any reason to pick against them, especially based off how they played of recent. I'm going to have to roll with the Lynx to take down the Aces in this game as well, taking the rubber match and winning the season series 2-1. Next, coming up on Sunday, 5 p.m. on ESPN, which is huge for people to see. Also can view on Disney Plus. The Indiana Fever coming in 21-12, 9-6 on the road, will take on the Atlanta Dream, who are 20-12 and 12-5 at home. 43.1% chance for the Fever, 56.9% chance for the Dream. Coming in, Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark are both game-time decisions with lower leg and back injuries, respectively. The Dream currently lead this series 2-1. The Fever won 83-71 back on June 4th. And then the Dream won 108-101 on June 18th and 113-96 on June 20th. This is the last of 4 matchups between the two. Dream could win at 3-1. Fever could try and knot it up at 2, as they are the top 2 seeds in the Eastern Conference. Indiana currently holds a half-game lead on the Dream. Dream are 3-2 in their last 5. Are the Fever. Dream took down the Tempo, Mercury, and Storm while losing to the Mystics and Aces. Fever have beat the Fire, Sky, and Liberty while losing to the Aces and Lynx. This game will be at State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia, which is like a superpower for the Atlanta Dream. So I'm going to take the Dream to win yet another home game. That's where a large majority of their wins have come. They've only lost 5 games at home. They've won 12. Of their 20 wins, that they have been at home. That's where they're comfortable. Going to take the Dream to win over the Fever. Coming up next on Monday, the Wings will take on the Valkyrie. Dallas Wings coming in 20-14, 10-8 on the road. They take on the Golden State Valkyries, who are 24-9, 14-4 at home. This game will be on NBC and Peacock. 28.9% chance for the Wings, 71.1% chance for the Valkyries. It will be at the Chase Center in San Francisco, California. Currently, the Valkyries lead this series 2-0, 91-80 on June 17th, and then 94-76 on August 7th. So they've been able to dominate. Ozzie Fudd out with a knee injury, possible to come back for this game. Jessica Shepard is out for this game as well with an ankle injury, and so is Isaiah James with a lower leg injury. They're all possible to come back for this game, but they could all sit out as well. Wings are coming in 2-3 in their last 5 wins over the Tempo and Sun, but losses to the Mystics, Valkyrie, and the Lynx. Meanwhile, Valkyrie are coming in on a 5-game win streak and have found themselves second in the entire Western Conference, and I believe the entire WNBA as well. So give me the Golden State Valkyries to win yet another home game against what may be a struggling Wings team, and also coming in hampered on some injuries. That takes us over into Tuesday, where the Atlanta Dream will take on the Las Vegas Aces, 9 p.m. on ESPN. Dream are 38.8% chance, 61.2% chance for the Aces. Dream come in down 2 in this series, 85-84 back on May 17th, and then 109-87 on August 3rd, both in favor of the Aces. As much as I would like the Dream to start to pick up and win a few games in a row and make a push to claim the top seed in the Eastern Conference, this game out at Michelob Ultra Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada will be one of the toughest for them all season long. I do not know if Jordan Canada, Angel Reese, Alicia Gray and company will have enough for Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, Asia Wilson, and everybody else putting on an Aces jersey. I'm going to have to take the Aces to win in this game against the Dream as well. Moving us in to Wednesday, the Lynx will take on the Valkyrie. Lynx a 39.6% chance, a 60.4% chance for the Valkyrie. This is an interesting game because this is a home game for the Valkyrie, where they play extremely well when they're at the Chase Center in San Francisco, California. The Lynx currently hold a 2-0 series lead in between the two, 87-84 back on June 4th, 81-75 on June 19th. They will meet again on August 24th after this matchup. So it's going to be extremely interesting to see if the Lynx can take a commanding 3-0 lead, or if the Valkyrie are able to put a little pressure on them and steal a game and try and close the gap, which is currently 3 at the top of the Western Conference in the WNBA, and try and steal that number 1 overall seed. So that's something I'll be keeping an eye on. But if you ask me, I've got the Lynx winning this game, because how can you pick against the Lynx right now? I told you earlier, they're playing at a level where I simply can't do it. So I'm going to ride and abide by that stance until they give me a reason to pick elsewhere. I'm rocking with the Lynx 100 times over. That's going to move us inside of the octagon. We got 2 big-time title matches going on. We'll start with the women's strawweight title fight. Mackenzie Dern, coming in 16-5, will take on Jillian Robinson, who's 17-8. This card will be on Paramount Plus. Early prelims at 5:30, prelims at 7, main card at 9 p.m. Dern, 5'4", 115 pounds, 33 years old, 63 inches in the reach, an orthodox fighter. Meanwhile, Jillian Robinson comes in at 5'5", 116 pounds, 31 years old, 63 inches on the reach, also an orthodox fighter. This is an extremely even matchup. They both like to battle on the feet. They like to be strikers instead of grapplers, but if they do need to get on the ground, they can handle their own. The Brazilian Dern does hold the title at the moment, as the Canadian Robinson is the contender and wants to come in and take it away. I'm not sure if she has enough to beat Dern, who literally has been at the top of the game for what seems like forever, and she's still in amazing shape and is still one of the most dominant wrestlers in the strawweight division. I am going to continue to rock with Mackenzie Dern for her to retain her title in this matchup as well, which moves us over into the main event, the welterweight title fight, as the Russian Islam Makhachev will take on the Irishman, Ian Machado Gary. Makhachev is 5'10", 170 pounds, 34 years old, 70.5 inches on the reach, and he's got southpaw fighting stance. Meanwhile, Machado Gary is 6'3", 170 pounds, 28 years old, 74.5 inches on the reach. He's an orthodox fighter as well. Makhachev loves to be on the ground, has a lot of success making guys tap and winning by submission. Meanwhile, Machado Gary, he's a old school stand-up striker. He wants to battle in the middle of the ring. He wants to throw punches. He wants to use his length to his advantage. And that's why I like this fight so much, is it pretty much puts them against the thing that they battle against the most. And I really like the 28-1 record by Makhachev coming in. Machado Gary's 17-1. Somebody's got to surrender their second loss, but I don't think it's Makhachev. I think he retains his title here as well, which moves us over onto the diamond for our last matchup of the week. The Tigers will take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Tigers are coming in 60-61, 28-33 on the road. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Pirates 59-64, a solid 30-30 when they play at home. This is the first of 6 matchups between the two. 3-game series will go on at PNC Park. Tigers coming in for game 1 on Monday, 40.6% chance, a 59.4% chance for the Pirates. Framber Valdez will take on Carmen Malzalinski. Malzalinski comes in 6-5, 3.79 ERA, 1.40 whip, and 99.2 innings pitched, 105 hits, 78 strikeouts, 35 walks, 8 home runs. Valdez 7-8, 4.26 ERA, 1.39 whip, 133 innings pitched. And then when we look at game 2, it'll be a 40.7% chance for the Tigers, 59.3% chance for the Pirates. Kiter Montero versus Braxton Ashcraft. And then game 3 will be 36.1% chance for the Tigers, 63.9% chance for the Pirates, as Jackson Jobe will take on Bubba Chandler. Although it's saying the Tigers can't win, I don't believe in that. Give me the Tigers, which gives me the Lynx, Dream, Valkyries, Aces, Lynx, Makhachev, Dern, and Tigers. Hopefully you enjoy this fantastic weekend, as I will be doing the same, and we'll catch up with you all again next week as you enjoy your Tigers coverage all week long with more Mitten Madness on 95.3 The Ticket.
Join Da'Jzon Hughes every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for Mitten Madness on 95.3 WBCK. Miss the show or want to run it back? Stream Mitten Madness on demand on the WBCK app. Sponsored by AirwayCashForJunkCars.com.
Progressive presents the Museum of You.
We begin our tour with a unique piece, a relic from the early big screen television era. Remarkable. Next, we find a juicer, which historians believe has only ever been used once. And finally, compact discs from the emo era. A rare find indeed.
Some things should be history, but until then you could protect what's important to you and save by bundling your auto insurance with a renter's policy from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.